Mindy, a vivacious 7-year-old, shared her idyllic family life with her parents, Sharon and Everett, and with her beloved doll, Myra. Having no one else to play with outside of school, Mindy found great joy in spending time with Myra, and they became inseparable companions. Mindy's favorite dress, in fact, looked remarkably like Myra's, and she wore it frequently. Strange incidents, however, began to cast shadows over their once serene home. Small, mundane items mysteriously vanished or were found broken. A shattered vase here, a missing trinket there. Each incident served as a prelude to the occurrences that followed, and when her parents looked to Mindy for answers, she insisted that
Myra did it.
Sharon and Everett naturally dismissed her claims, attributing the events to their daughter's mischievous streak. As the disturbances escalated, drawings of ominous scenes began to appear, first with crayons and paper, but ultimately scratched into the walls with a knife or a pair of scissors. These disturbing scenes depicted what looked to be Sharon and Everett lying in pools of blood with Mindy and Myra standing over them. Sharon and Everett continued to believe Mindy was, of course, behind these unsettling acts. But when they confronted her, Mindy remained steadfast in her innocence, repeatedly insisting,
Myra did it.
In private, Sharon and Everett discussed the need to seek out a child psychologist for their daughter, hoping to sort this out as soon as possible. Late one evening, Sharon discovered Mindy's beloved doll lying askew on the coffee table in the living room. Myra had never been left in such disarray before, and Sharon suddenly found a new sense of dread settling into the back of her mind. What caught her attention most of all was the sight of the kitchen knife resting on the floor just below the doll. It wasn't an accidental fall. The placement seemed deliberate, almost as if Myra had dropped it herself. Sharon felt a bead of sweat forming on her forehead as she hesitated to reach for the doll. A mix of fear and disbelief gripped her. This couldn't be happening. Yet the image of the doll and the knife was disconcerting, laced with the idea that maybe, just maybe, there was more to Mindy's claims than she had been willing to acknowledge. A jolt of terror coursed through Sharon as she delicately raised Myra from the coffee table, revealing the chilling words, "I did it," carved into the wooden surface. A wave of fear and disbelief washed over her, sending a cold shiver through her bones. Overwhelmed with fear, she hurried into the kitchen, her hands trembling as she searched for a pack of matches. Panic gnawed at her as she sprinted outside, the metal trash can standing as a temporary sanctuary. She quickly tossed Myra inside and struck a match, lighting the contents of the trash can ablaze. Flames engulfed the doll, and Sharon stood there, silently watching. As the doll visibly melted, she closed the lid with a visceral shudder. Returning to the house, Everett, having heard the commotion, looked at her inquisitively. Fear marked his expression as she recounted the surreal events. In a hushed discussion, they agreed it was crucial to keep Mindy shielded from the unsettling truth of what had transpired with her beloved Myra. Late that night, the stillness and tranquility were shattered when a harsh scraping sound disturbed their sleep. Following the sound into the living room, Sharon and Everett stumbled upon a horrifying scene. Mindy, bathed in shadows, knelt near one of the walls, scratching threatening pictures into the surface. She wore the dress reminiscent of Myra's, gripping a kitchen knife with determination.
Mindy,
Everett said, his voice tinged with disbelief. Unfazed, Mindy continued her destructive task.
Mindy!
Sharon's urgency resonated through the room. Finally pausing, Mindy turned to face her parents. An unnerving anger flickered in her eyes as she uttered,
Why are you calling me that?
Tightly clenching the knife, she stood as tall as she could, glaring at Sharon and Everett.
My name
She said,
is Myra.